All right, welcome everybody to the podcast. We haven't been here for a while. GatorsFirst.com. I'm here with Jamie. How you doing, Jamie?
I'm good, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Of course, I'd be doing really well with two straight blowouts. One to a really good team over LSU a couple weeks ago. A bye week where we got to sit back and relax and watch some football some other time. And also win last week pretty convincingly over a pretty good defense in Kentucky. I'd have to say that probably the biggest thing that'll stand out to everybody when they go back and look at the film from this game is obviously our special teams play. We blocked three kicks, two punts, and one field goal. Um, so that was really good. Brandon James also had a couple of runbacks, not too far, but enough to move the ball more forward than you might see with other teams across the nation. One thing that I am concerned about, even though um, Caleb Sturgis boomed some kicks, he kicked two out of bounds this week, and we can't just give up big time yardage to a good Georgia team that we might face next week. What were some things that you noticed about the Kentucky game, Jamie?
As far as special teams, although he kicked two kicks out of bounds, which would be costly in a game against Georgia, I feel like the kicking was definitely the best it's been all year, as he had a few touchbacks, which we haven't really seen this year from him. But the thing that stood out for me was the continuing play of Jeff Demps. He's been extremely impressive on the ground and catching balls from Tim Tebow.
Yeah, I mean, if you just watch Dempsey, it's just so incredible how much speed he has. He gets a ball, he makes one cut, and he's gone, and nobody's even coming close to catching him. He's easily the fastest player on the field, and it's something I'm looking forward to over the next couple of years. I mean, he's faster than Percy Harvin when he first came in, and I said the same exact thing about him a couple of years ago. And this guy is just incredible. Now he doesn't have the size or the power of a Percy Harvin, but if he gets one step on anybody, he is gone, and it's great to see. Now, some things that really impressed me, I was really happy with Tim Tebow's play. Even though he threw an interception, he was 11 for 15 for 180 yards with two passing touchdowns, and he also had 48 yards on the ground for two rushing touchdowns. So he had four total touchdowns. It was really great to see him get more involved in the offense this week as opposed to some weeks early on in the season. He also played really, really well against LSU. So it shows me that Tebow has kind of gotten out of his funk, and I expect really, really big things out of him for the rest of the year. As for other rushers, Rainey had 36 yards. Keyston Moore had 39 yards, which is good to see. He also had a touchdown. Percy, it seems like every time he touches the ball, it's a touchdown. But he only did have three touches with two touchdowns. He had two rushes for 22 yards and one catch for 33 yards. Late in the game, we also saw John Brantley come in and lead a drive late in the game. He was 2 for 3 for 52 yards, as well as a touchdown to David Nelson, a 38-yard touchdown. So it was good to see him get some action in there. I think that he is clearly making himself the number two quarterback while Cam Newton has been kind of injured over the past couple of weeks. Brantley has shown me a lot that he could run this offense. He's got a really, really great arm, and if he's got some weapons to throw to, you could put a couple of people back there and they'll score some points. Any other thoughts on the game against Kentucky?
Yeah, Brantley's play was definitely impressive this weekend, and it gives me a lot of hope for the future once Tebow is not with the Gators. Should that be next year or the year after? Um, I really think our offense is starting to come together as a whole, and hopefully we'll see a continuance of that with Emmanuel Moody hopefully coming back this week against Georgia.
So now we'll move on to the Georgia game, which is going to be this weekend up in Jacksonville. Obviously, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. This is going to be my sixth because I missed last season because I was living in California. Man, this is such a fun weekend, especially when you're a student. I plan on going down to the landing once we get there. I'm probably going to be staying with a friend that lives out down that way. I'll be meeting up with some other Gators First contributors, James and his wife, as well as we got Crutch coming out and Jesse Colston, who lives in the area as well. So we plan on tailgating it pretty hard, maybe meeting up with some of the other Gator website owners and talking with them for a little while about what they do, what their experiences are. But I'm really looking forward to the weekend. It's always a great time there in Jacksonville. What are you going to be doing, Jamie?
I'm going to be going down to Jacksonville also. This will be my fourth year going. I unfortunately did not get tickets this year, so I will be watching the game from the landings and staying with a friend and hopefully catching up uh, with a good football weekend. One of the more interesting matchups we should watch for this weekend in this game will be the Gators secondary against Matthew Stafford. Um, as you know, last year the Gators secondary got torn apart by Stafford, and that was one of the reasons we lost the game. But I'd say so far this year we're very much improved, and this should be a good matchup between our secondary and their passing game. This season, the Florida defense has only allowed 170 yards per game in the air, while Georgia's offense and Matthew Stafford has put up 258 yards each game. So that should be something to look out for. Particularly impressive has been Georgia freshman AJ Green, who has 5 touchdowns on the year and 662 yards. Green and Mohamed Massaquoi, whatever his name is, should match up pretty well against the Florida secondary, but it'll be interesting to see what Ahmad Black and Joe Hayden should do
Yeah,
in
I
this matchup.
agree. Definitely something to test our big time secondary, because as of this point in the year, our secondary has really stepped it up. I really look forward to watching, in particular, Hayden and Janoris Jenkins and see what kind of coverage that they provide. Anybody crossing the middle deep, I fear for them because we still got Major right back there laying down some big knocks, a la Reggie Nelson from the past. Another thing that I think we should definitely watch is how our rushing offense, which is 21st in the nation, we average about just under 200 yards per game on the ground, and their rushing defense is sixth in the nation, roughly 77 yards per game. So it's going to be really interesting to see if our speedy running backs could get past their front seven. Demps and Rainey in particular, I'd like to see if they could turn that corner because Georgia's going to be bringing a lot of speed coming around that corner to stop them. It's going to be also nice to see Moody if he could get back in business, if he could be that big bruiser, if he comes into the game and run between the tackles and be a big bruiser. It's going to be nice to see that matchup.
Yeah, Chris, I think Tim Tebow has really gotten back on track these past 2 weeks. He's gotten back to his form from last year as far as his ground game goes, which is something we didn't see the first few weeks of the year with him. So that's something to look forward to. I think Tebow will continue to play a bigger role in the rushing offense than he did the first few games of the year,
So now I'm going to
and
give my
that'll be good for
prediction.
our
I
offense as
think that the
well.
Gators have a chip on their shoulder. I think that the matchups, particularly our offense versus their defense, uh, is in our favor. I think our offense is just clicking on all cylinders right now. They proved it the last two games, the last 9 quarters, if you count the last quarter of the Arkansas game. I think that the Gators win. They score a lot of points in the 40s, maybe. I'm going to go with 42 to 27.
I agree. I think we're going to put up a lot of points on them. I don't know if we'll get up into the 40s. I'm going to go with Gators 37,
All right, Jamie,
Bulldogs
thank you
21.
for coming out for our podcast. It's your first podcast. We hope to see you around for the rest of the year. And, everybody else, go Gators. Please watch the game this week, excuse me. And go Gators, like I said. Take care.
Yep, go Gators.